Hello, this is Jaymie White with GlobalDiversityNews.com. Today, I have this pleasure of interviewing US Black Chambers Inc. President and CEO Ron Busby. We discuss how the US Black Chambers is advocating for Black businesses and Black individuals, and also their recent initiative to push for more purchases with Black-owned organizations. To check out more, after the podcast, take a look at their website, usblackchamber.org, and also like them on Facebook, facebook.com/usblackchambers. Hello, this is Jaymie White with Global Diversity News, bringing you another podcast. So today, I want to do something a little bit different. What we're trying to create here is a weekly segment where we speak with and interview various organizations and find out what they're doing within the supplier diversity and small business field. So today I have with me Ron Busby at the US Black Chambers Inc. So Ron, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and I thank you for being a part of the Global Diversity News podcast. We really appreciate it. Really do.
Not a problem. Glad to be on.
Yep. So I guess let's just go ahead and get started. Get right into some of the nitty gritty of what US Black Chambers is doing and how you guys are effectively supporting the Black community and advocating for things and such. So just to begin, just give me a brief overhaul on what the US Black Chambers is. What are you guys doing over there?
Prior to coming to Washington, D.C., I ran a successful business in Phoenix, Arizona, and also ran a local Black chamber in Phoenix, Arizona. And so I was faced with leading Black businesses as a business owner as well as a nonprofit and facing what many chamber presidents as well as business owners face across the country. And then, like many of us around the country in 2007 and 2008, we heard a lot about yes, we can, and let's talk about change, and a real new platform for African Americans, and it really gave us a sense of hope, and it gave us a sense of urgency. And so at that same time, the U.S. Black Chambers was created, moved here, and started with really about half a dozen Black chambers from around the country. Our initial creation was based upon what we call now our 5 pillars. First one being advocacy, understanding the importance of policy, understanding the importance of making sure that our voices were being heard, both at the White House, at the Senate, as well as the House, to make sure that African-American business agenda was at the table. Being here in Washington, D.C., it's ironic that when you ride around, you look at the back of our license plates, and our tags actually read taxation without representation. And that's not only for the individual residents of Washington, D.C., but that's typically how many Black business owners have felt for decades around the country. And so we want to make sure that policies are being addressed that benefit African-American business owners. Our second one is access to capital, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that today. But if you ask any small business owner what their number one concern is, any race, any nationality, any size, they will say access to capital is their number one concern.
Absolutely.
If you ask a Black business owner what his top 3 concerns are, they will say access to capital. And so the U.S. Black Chamber is working diligently to be able to provide access to capital for our business owners and really want to get into that more. Our third one is really contract opportunities, and we look at that from really 3 different vantage points. The first one, what is the government doing in reference to spending dollars with Black businesses? And that's from all of the agencies, not just the SBA, but Department of Transportation, Department of Defense, all the agencies. We want to know where are they spending their dollars, because these are tax dollars. These are dollars generated by the American population. The government is the largest spender of any source in the United States, and so we want to make sure that our businesses are represented at the table. The second avenue of opportunity is really the private sector. What is corporate America doing in reference to spending and contracting with black firms? And we want to make sure that our firms have the relationships as well as the acumen and the skills to be able to do business with corporate America. And then the third one, which we can really control, and that is what are African Americans doing in reference to spending money with African American business owners. And so we look at it from a government spend, a corporate spend, and really an entrepreneur spend to entrepreneurs, so a business to consumer. What are black folk doing with their dollars? Our third one is entrepreneurial training, and we have partnered with the University of Phoenix to have an online platform to create the skills that business owners need to be successful long term. Our fourth one is really chamber development, and we want to make sure that our business owners, our chamber presidents have the resources and skills that they need to be able to lead their communities. And so once a year we bring all of our chamber presidents as well as business owners to Washington, D.C. For our School of Business and Chamber Management to give them best practices to go back to their local communities to roll out programs that are good to be able to lead our communities across the finish line to get where we need to go. Many chamber presidents are championed and really challenged to be able to lead some of the largest black businesses across the country, and so we just want to make sure that they have the skills to be able to do that successfully. Currently, there are 121 black chambers across the country. We're in 29 states, and we have a membership base of about 250,000 African-American-owned businesses.
Oh, wow.
So that's a little bit about who we are and kind of a little bit about what we do.
I like that because that's so there's a lot of questions in that and a lot of places I'm interested to going with that. But for starters, you started in 2009. Can you tell me a little bit more about the environment and kind of what led to that? Because as we all know, 2008, essentially, and the early parts of 2009 was that recession period. So is this a direct link to that?
It was a combination of two things. It was a recession, and so for many of us, we felt like, gosh, our communities were being hit harder. The old saying, when the majority of America has a cold and black America has pneumonia, and we felt that across the country, and so we wanted to make sure that you were also hearing about the growth of America, the sustainability of America was going to come on the backs of small businesses. There was a lot of energy put behind the success of small businesses. Well, we wanted to make sure that our businesses were also included in their conversation. And then at the same time, obviously, there was Senator Barack Obama, who was running for the President of the United States, and we wanted to make sure that we were catching that wave to make sure that black businesses were also going to be included in his agenda, short-term as well as long-term. And so in 2009, I moved to Washington, D.C., and, man, it was just on fire. It was just the spirit of
in a positive way. In a positive,
okay. Yeah, positive experience. And so literally, as I stated, we started off with about 6 chambers in 2009. But because of the effort that was demonstrated from the U.S. Black Chamber and the sense of black Americans around the country of making sure that our voices were going to be heard here in Washington, D.C., we had a very successful start, as well as currently where we are today.
Okay. You said that it was on fire in 2009. Do you think that fire has continued for the past 7 years?
It definitely has. Currently, like I said, we are up to 121 chambers.
Oh, nice.
So the majority of black chambers across the country are members. We represent probably more than 25% of all of the black businesses in the country. And so we feel like we've had great short-term as well as long-term success. And I think as we get ready for this next presidential election, we have endorsed Hillary Clinton. We were one of the first black organizations to do so, especially since we were one of the first black business organizations to do so, because we feel like we want to get ahead of the curve. We want to be involved in the conversation. We want to be at the table early, and we want to make sure that our commitment is being addressed not from just after the fact. We want to be really proactive versus being reactive, and so our future looks good.
Okay, sounds good. And congratulations to Hillary Clinton for receiving that nod from the U.S. Black
Well,
Chambers Inc. Yeah,
well,
but
thank you very much.
with that being said, let's talk about some of your main goals and focuses leading into 2016 and also in the future. What are you guys kind of your main focal points when it comes to advocating? Do you guys have any policies or initiatives that you're trying to push?
Well, yeah, if you really look at what's been going on around the country, you'll see that black businesses have had some great success. We're one of the fastest growing business sectors in the country, especially African American women's business owners. They grew at about a 60% growth rate, which is extremely fast.
Hmm.
We went from 1.9 million African American owned businesses in 2009 up to about 2.5 or 2.6 million today. So the number of new businesses has been a tremendous growth. But at the same time, the average size annual revenue for those firms has dropped
Oh wow,
from 86,000 a year down to about 75,000 a year. So we're
really?
opening new businesses at a very fast pace. Obviously, when a new business opens, it's not going to have the same type of revenue as a 5 or 10-year business.
Of
So
course.
you'll see some of that being indicated by just the pure number of new businesses, but we want to truly focus on getting those businesses up to size and scale. The conversation with corporate America as well as government used to be, well, we'd love to do business with more minority and black-owned firms, but we just can't find them. So that's no longer an issue. Now the issue is much more now about, well, it's size and scale.
Resources and
We'd love to do
capabilities.
business
Yeah.
with more black folk, but they just don't have the size and or scale. Of the 2.6 million African American owned businesses that we own across the country, roughly 2.5 million of those are not mom and pop, but mom or pop. They're single individual employee businesses with no employees.
We're talking sole
So we have
proprietorships.
sole proprietorship.
Okay.
Yes, so we only have about 110,000 black firms that employ one person. And so if you really look at the number of firms that have the opportunity to take advantage of the government programs or corporate America contract opportunities, it really is a very small number. And so our goal is to do more mergers, acquisitions, put more black firms together to be able to go after some of the larger opportunities, if that's through consortiums, joint ventures, or just outright acquisitions where it makes sense. That's part of our goal. Our second one really is about access to capital. In 2014, we participated with Wells Fargo in the diverse lending segment. It was a survey that they did across the country. Roughly 1,200 firms were interviewed. Of the 1,200 firms, about 600 of those firms were African-American firms.
Hmm.
And from that study, a lot of information was gained by us as well as by our banking partners, so much so that we found a lot about African-American firms having the lack of the ability to have credit. It was
Yeah.
their top 3 concern, and a lot of that dealt with discrimination, or at least perceived discrimination. Some of it had to do with credit scores or lower credit scores. Everything else being equal, credit scores for black firms were looked upon differently than our counterparts from the majority community. The lack of bank in our community and the lack of banking relationships in our community. And then I think the last one is just the lack of trust. And so for us, we felt like we either could continue to complain or we could do something about it. And so we started early on this year a Banking Black initiative, which many of your listeners may have heard about. What we did in 2014 is we took a group of black men, which are involved in our Black Male Entrepreneur Institute. I made a statement in a session where I said I banked with a black bank and talked about my experiences there. And so that following few days, we took 25 black men down to Industrial Bank, which is our local black bank here in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. And it really caught a buzz. And so from there, a group of entertainers, actors, and musicians out of Atlanta followed suit. they did the same. You may have seen a gentleman by the name of, well, his rap name is
Killer
Killer
Mike,
Mike.
yeah. I
Yeah,
know exactly what you're
Killer.
talking about. I've seen it. I've
Yeah,
seen a couple of articles on
yeah.
it.
If you really listen to the very first statement that he says, well, you think you guys did it big out there, watch what we do. And he was really talking about in response to what we had done here in Washington, D.C., and so they followed suit there in Atlanta. And since then, you've now seen that the black bank move has really caught on fire. And so that is part of what our initiative is really a dual focus. It's a Buy Black, Bank Black initiative that the U.S. Black Chamber is really getting involved in. In 2014, we were involved in a group called Black Wealth 2020, where it really was based on 3 initiatives: increase the number of black homeowners by 2 million, increase the number of African American businesses by 2 million, but at the same time, double the annualized revenue. So current firms are doing about $75,000 a year, and by the year 2020, we would like those firms to average about $150,000 a year. We want to double the number of black businesses to get them up to 2 million. And then we wanted to increase the number of African Americans that bank with black banks, as well as the deposit sizes of those deposits. And so those were the goals of that initiative, Black Wealth 2020, all of this being completed by the year 2020. Increase the number of homeowners, black businesses. Got involved in that, found out there was a lot of initiative there, and now we're trying to take that one step further in really about accessing credit. And so we have partnered with Liberty Bank they're headquartered in Louisiana, in New Orleans, but they're in 8 states. They're the largest African-American-owned bank in the country, with about 18 different branches around the country, to provide a line of credit, a credit card through the U.S. Black Chamber and Liberty Bank, backed by Visa card. So this is not, this is not a rush card, or it's not just a debit card, or I give you $500 and then you in turn give me $500 on a card. This is a true line of credit. We feel like it really is game-changing on so many different accords. First one being it's a black bank. Secondly, it's obviously as a black organization nationally. It allows African Americans now to bank virtually anywhere in the country. You'll be surprised that there's only one black bank west of the Mississippi River. And so for many African Americans that live, let's say, in California or Nevada or Arizona or Washington State or any part of the country west of Mississippi, they didn't have the opportunity to be able to bank at a black bank. This Liberty Bank card allows you to bank virtually, allows you to open up a credit card online or basically on your phone. Second thing about it, it is a very, very competitive, if not lower, interest rate than most African Americans. It is a 9.9% interest rate, whereas the average African American is paying above 14%. This is at 9.9%. For qualified borrowers, obviously, but
it's for individuals and companies as well.
Individuals and as well as business owners, which I think is a huge benefit as well. So it's a great opportunity for us, and it's the thing that we're working on as we speak right now. And so we're asking all of our listeners to get involved in that. It's a way for us to be able to take the Black Bank Initiative one step further.
Okay, that's very interesting. A couple of questions off of some of the things that you said. The first one being, you mentioned the 75,000. We're increasing in terms of the number of businesses, but we're decreasing in terms of the average of revenue we see coming in. With that 75,000 per black company, what is that compared to other ethnicities or just the American average business in general?
That's a great question. The average, let me pull that information up for you. If you go to our website, it's there. But I will give you that the average majority firm is about 5 times the size of the black firms. So it's 2.5 million black firms. Average gross sales $72,000 a year versus the average Indian or Alaskan firm. Average annualized revenue for them is $154,000. For Asians, it's $410,000.
Wow.
For Hispanics, it's $155,000.
Interesting.
And for non-whites, it's $649,000. So we're at a $72,000 average gross receipt versus the average firm is about, all minority firms is $195,000. So they're about $120,000 above us.
I mean, I know this is a very open-ended question, but why is that? Why do we
Oh, there's a
constantly
whole
see?
lot of reasons. I think for an easy answer,
Yeah, simple answer.
Simple answer is the average African American spends less than 3% of their money with black firms.
Interesting.
If the average African American is only spending 3% of their dollars with black firms, then we're always going to be very, very small firms. If the average African American could increase their spend from 3% to 10%, it would be a whole different conversation. We would be mandated in this country to employ 1 million new people just by our spending habits. If the number one concern in our community is unemployment, currently today there's roughly 2 million unemployed African Americans in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also roughly 2 million black firms. So if each one of those black firms had the ability to hire one person, I wouldn't have an unemployment concern in my community. But we have the solutions within our own pockets and purses. We just need to support our own businesses. And so part of the answer is stop boycotting our own communities.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's one thing to say I'm going to put my money in a black bank, but then if I turn around and take my money out of a black bank and spend it at a Target or anywhere else that doesn't support my initiatives in my community, then I have just prolonged our dollar being once again circulated outside of our community.
Can you quantify that? I guess that's the word. A little bit more. When we're talking from 3% to 10%. Like, are we talking like once a week if you went to a black-owned restaurant or something like that and spent, this much money a week or maybe even a year? Can we quantify that a little bit and see how much would that actually average out for like the average?
Sure. The average African American that makes, let's say, $75,000 or more a year.
Right.
That's typical, and that's an upper middle class family. They spend less than 3%. So, and it could be, as simple as going to a black-owned dry cleaner or find a black restaurant. It doesn't necessarily have to be the quantity of times that you go visit. It really is about, okay, if I'm going to bring home, after all my expenses, if I'm bringing home $300, I'm going to spend $100 of that, or I'm going to spend $100 of that with somebody that's black. We just have got to get to the point where we are supporting our own. I would ask your listeners to do me this favor. Download on their mobile phones the USBC mobile app. It's an app. 47,000 black firms there. Download the app, and so that the next time they're looking to spend money, shop, do whatever, they can find a black firm there. It's GPS driven. There's roughly 36 different categories, from restaurants to gas stations to hotels to you name it. Support it. And then the second thing is, for those folk that are listening on the call or listening to your podcast, they're to say, hey, I'm interested in opening up a business. And you download the mobile app, and guess what? There's not a business that's owned by an African American in your community. That might be a good business to own. I tell the story all the time that I live in Bowie, Maryland, which is predominantly an African American community.
Mm-hmm.
And each morning I get up and eat a bagel. Well, guess what? There's not a black-owned bagel store in the state of Maryland, state of Virginia, or in the District of Columbia.
Wow.
So if I was going to open up a business, I might think about opening up a business that sold bagels. Black folk buy bagels.
Who knew?
We just got to think outside the box. Yeah. as opposed to going into the same businesses year after year after year. We can, we can go into other options as
Yeah.
well, and give folk the other places to be able to spend their money.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say in terms of opening up the same business every time. Within, like, for example, within the supplier diversity community, which I have really good relationships with. I mean, you see that constantly.
It's not about necessarily the
Well,
industry that we're in. Sometimes it's about the way in which we manage those businesses in those particular industries. I just think that we need to be able to do two things. We got to be creative in how we're running our businesses, as well as the businesses that we're getting into, and in the space that will allow us to have the opportunities in which we need to be creative and grow.
well, from a millennial's perspective, I guess, like 1989, that's in terms of like a janitorial service. That's
That was
fine.
it.
Yeah, that's fine. But when we're
Yeah,
talking about the barriers of entry for most industries, not all, but most industries being just so lowered, I mean, like you said, creativity, like there is a lot of opportunity
it
to do
truly
so.
is.
I just learned about a veteran-owned company, a black guy, Jeff Shufort, created Vets for Techs, or
Mm-hmm.
Tech for
Yep.
Vets, excuse me. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, taught himself tech, was able to create a mobile application-centered organization. And that's what he does. Like, just the opportunities are there, the creativity that you can use creativity now to enter these spaces due to that lower barriers of entry. So that's more so um, my line of thinking, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah. Moving forward with the whole banking black. Let's talk about the benefits to the black community, because we talked about how, hey, if black people are spending money with black owned businesses, there are 2 million unemployed black people, 2 million companies. Obviously, the more we spend, the more people they can hire. Are there other benefits to the
Oh
community
gosh,
as
yeah.
well? Yeah.
If you really, so unemployment is obviously a big concern.
Hmm.
So I look at it from two different perspectives, the holistic perspective, and that is from the Banking Black initiative. Black banks make 70% of their loans to black homeowners and black businesses. And so if you're going to consider banking somewhere, why not bank with someone that's going to reinvest in your community? If you look at it from the community standpoint, you get most of your services provided by city government that comes from the tax base. Well, if black banks are making mortgages to African Americans, that means that they're going to have homes in those communities, which means that now you're going to have a tax base, which means that now you're going to be able to create the infrastructure that we need for better schools, better roads, better infrastructure. But from the actual individual's perspective themselves that is actually applying and using the card, a couple things are beneficial to them. One, as I had stated, the interest rate was much lower,
Yep.
9.96% interest. This will allow you to have a second or first line of credit, again, which will allow you now to start to save money, which will be able to now build your credit. The average African American, again, I say, is paying much higher interest rates. Many African Americans aren't banking with banks at all. There's about only 40% of African Americans have a banking relationship.
Yeah.
So that there's a huge deficit of African Americans that are out here that are doing cash and carry, which was okay in the 90s. But as we continue to move into an e-commerce economy, it's really now the new divide.
Yeah.
So, it's ironic that organizations like Lyft and Uber talk about their being the solution to many of our problems in our local communities because we don't have the proper transportation to get to work or to get to school or to get to opportunities. But if I don't have a line of credit, if I don't have a credit card, I can't use an Uber.
Good point.
I can't buy an airplane ticket most of the time. I can't use any of the Amazon. I can't. So many of the things that now the new economy is driven towards in e-commerce, we're being left out of that conversation because we don't have credit. And so for us, this is the first step is to get into the credit game because that is really where the economy is going. But more importantly than just getting into the credit game, we got to make sure that we're getting into the game where it really is financially feasible and that you're banking with someone that truly understands and appreciates who you are as an individual and what you're doing for your local community through your business or just you as an individual.
Okay. what are a couple of ways people can get involved in Buy Black or Banking Black? I know we talked about the whole download the app, which would be
So
phenomenal.
for the credit card, it's fairly simple. Couple different ways. You can, from your smartphone, you can just text the letters USBC CARD, like USBC card.
Mhm.
Text USBC card to the number 22828, and they will forward you an application directly to your phone, or you can go online
What was that number
to the
again?
US. I'm
22828.
sorry, it's 22828,
Got it.
22828,
Mhm.
or you can go to our website, usblackchambers.org, and you can apply there, or you can go to www.libertybank.net/affinity, AFFINITY. And all three, make sure you use the promo code USBC. And the reason being is so that we can track the success of the organization as well as African Americans using the card.
Got it. What about for Black-owned businesses that are looking to be included in your app in the USBC?
They can do that on the website, www.usblackchambers.org. There's an application there. It's fairly simple. I think it's a $40 a year fee, but that way you'll have you can be included. But for those folk that are wanting to find black businesses, it's free. But for folk that have businesses, which I think all firms should be listed here, because I do believe that right now America really is trying to support, and they're trying to figure out how to support. And we want to give them easy access to find our black businesses, as well as easy access to be able to spend money with them. And so the mobile app is one way to be able to be found, and the credit card is one way to be able to spend.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, so last question, or last couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, are you guys going to be participating or at any upcoming events? For example, I know like the NMSDC conference is coming up in Chicago. I don't know if you guys are going to be in attendance there or.
Yeah, that's ironic. We will be, the U.S. Black Chamber will receive an award during the NMSDC conference.
Congrats.
NMSDC is partnering with the National Minority Business, the Minority Business Development Agency, MBDA. The U.S. Black Chamber was selected as Advocate of the Year, and so we will be there in Chicago receiving that award in October. In a few weeks in Washington, D.C. is the Congressional Black Caucus. Mm-hmm. We will have an event that first morning, a policy breakfast. It will be held at Google at 25 Mass between the hours of 9 a.m. and noon. We will have three different panel conversations, one on access to credit, which we discussed here. The second one will be on policy as it relates to what's going on in the 2016 election and where things are important for us to know about and to advocate behind. Mm-hmm. And the third one is really about innovation and where new technology and how African American business owners can participate in that. That's September the 14th.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so with that, we've been talking about 2020, right, and all, and your policies and goals to try to get to 2020. So over the course of the next 4 years, I'm sure you guys have a in-depth strategy to get there when it comes to growing businesses and getting that 75,000 to at the very least 150,000 when we're talking about averages. Do you guys have any specific plans for that? Just something that's really short so people can look out for in the next 4 years?
Well, yeah, you'll see a real push on a combination of things. One, on mergers and acquisitions. Mm-hmm. So that will help us increase the annualized revenue. It will take a few large firms to really be able to push that number, the average number on the low end up. So you got to concentrate on the big firms to get them some large opportunities. And so again, we may look at some large opportunities. You'll see some black firms that you've never heard of before, because it may be 3 or 4 small, medium-sized black firms doing a joint venture to go after a large opportunity that they may not have had on their own. Then the second one, you'll see us push heavily more millennial conversation. We'll talk a lot about that during the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as during the NMSDC conference.
Oh, I definitely love to be a part of that.
We feel like this millennial group of African Americans truly understand the importance of business ownership, and we really want to get behind that. So there's 2 initiatives that you'll see coming out. Obviously, one of them we already have, which is our program for our black men.
Yep.
It's called our Black Male Entrepreneur Institute, because we really feel like African American men are kind of falling behind a little bit on ownership. And so we want to make sure that they are given all of the resources that they need, as well as relationships, as well as all groups, women included, in reference to mentoring them. And so you'll see us come out in the 4th quarter of this year. You'll see us roll out a millennial training program for our business owners. And you'll also see an access to capital program that will allow the businesses to grow, because many of our firms would love to go to that next level, but they don't have the access to capital to be able to get there for that next opportunity. And so for us, those are 2 of the things that we know we are already partnering on now and already developing now for us to be able to achieve the objectives and the goals that we've set for the next 4 years.
Also with that, moving into the 2020 space, are we also going to be, or are you guys also going to be looking to partner with different banks to kind of move out west a little bit more? Or do you feel like the
I think what you'll find is that it's not going to be banking as usual.
Okay.
We took the model from Ally Bank that has no brick and mortar locations at all, but will allow you through technology and through true partnerships to be able to get all of the information, all of the financial resources that the traditional bank has with a lot lower cost, because they don't have the brick and mortar infrastructure. And so for us, we're taking that model. So as opposed to just saying, okay, we're going to open up more brick and mortar banks, we feel like we want to just give more people the opportunity to be able to bank wherever they are, using the technology that's currently out there, as well as technology that's being created for the future.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Okay. Yeah. With that being said, just in closing, I know you said your information over and over again, but one last time, just let people know where they can contact and connect with you guys.
And I do appreciate it. You can find out all the information that we've discussed earlier on our website, and you can find us at www.usblackchambers.org. Again, www.usblackchambers.org. usblackchambers.org.
Okay, perfect. With that being said, in closing, thank you so much, Ron, for taking the time out your day once again, and just connecting with us and telling us more about the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., what you guys are doing and how you guys are advocating for black businesses, as well as black individuals, trying to get them into banks and opening lines of credit. Definitely.
Yeah, we say that.
Yep.
Yeah, we say this, that in order for there to be a strong America, you got to have a strong black America. And in order for there to be a strong black America, you got to have strong black businesses. And in order for there to be strong black businesses, you need strong black banks and strong black chambers, and we need you. So we need your listeners to join your local black chambers across the country, as well as, if they deem the opportunity and the necessity, we'd love to have them join the U.S. Black Chamber as well.
Perfect. So, as always, like the video, or excuse me, like the podcast, subscribe, check us out on Twitter, or follow us on Twitter at GDN Network, and also check out our website, globaldiversitynews.com, and this will definitely be posted up so you guys can check it out. It'll be on SoundCloud, Spreaker, and also on YouTube. So thank you once again for your time, Ron, and thank you, listeners, for taking the time to check out what we have. Take care. Yep.